because we are the most epic cosplayers ever. You should try to be just like us. Because we're not, and you shouldn't. But this is because, one, I happen to have a lot of photos of my own costumes. Two, I know how I made my own costumes. And three, I don't get offended if I use my own pictures. We will show you some pictures in many of our panels of what not to do. That's always us. Sometimes, like in this panel, I have some pictures that I've gotten permission from people to use of, you know, I've stopped them in the hall and they said, I really like your costume, may I use it in my panel and take a photo of it?
That's always good.
That's always a good thing. If we ever stop you and say, may I take a photo and use it in our panel, that's always because we like it, we're never going to make fun of you. We make fun of us. We like making
Really, we have enough bad photos of us, we don't need to borrow them from other people.
See, this is normal for us, okay? So, all right.
We've probably done it.
We probably have.
Twice.
Okay, so found objects. What is a found object? A lot of people come in and they go, wow, I like the idea of not having to sew my own costumes, but what the heck is a found object? A found object is something that already exists. It's an object that you find. It seems pretty straightforward.
I did not cast this wheelchair from resin.
Oh, you're not a true cosplayer. So this can be a commercially produced product. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And it does not have to be used in its original form or for its original purpose. I have today with me a Coke Zero bottle that I'm drinking Coke out of. And when this is done, I will probably recycle it. But at home, I have a recycle bin full of Coke Zero bottles, and I can't tell you how many costumes contain pieces of Coke bottle. Because it's a nice plastic bottle. You can cut it up and glue it to things. You can paint it. You can use it as little plastic bendy bits. And it comes with weird molded shapes that you can use for prop bits. I was sitting at dinner last night, we were talking, we all cosplayed Loki as well, and from the Avengers. And I made my glow stick of destiny staff, and the diffuser I used for my first version of that, which was the walking stick version, the smaller one, I made it the night before the con in about 10 minutes, and the part that I used for the glowing orb bit was an LED glow stick crammed inside a Coke Zero bottle that I painted blue. I mean, you can use this stuff.
It looked really good.
It does look really good from 5 feet away. Just
in photos, it looks amazing.
Yeah, the photos
get up close to it and you're like, is that a Coke bottle?
But the point being, a found object is any item that already exists that you grab and incorporate into your costume. You're not pouring resin, you're not sewing your cosplays from scratch, you're not creating, carving wood and things. You can. Those are great things to do. We do that stuff too, but that's not found object costume, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, why would you do this? Well, first of all, some of us are on a budget. And, you know, if I don't have money to go out and drop $600 on a silk ball gown material or something, I'm going to say, well, what can I find at Goodwill to cut up and use instead? Because it's a lot cheaper to buy it there than it is to go to a fabric store and pay retail prices. So I love thrift store costumes. I love going to garage sales or yard sales. I love going into my closet. Everything you're looking at us in today is thrift store and closet cosplay right now.
True story. Friday, 2 a.m. Con starts Friday.
This past Friday.
Yeah, for those of you, yeah, con starts Friday. It's Friday, 2 a.m. I'm like, hey, I need a costume. This is it.
I said, well, I just finished making a thrift store Vincent. You guys want to do Shinra costumes? And like, I got a wheelchair, I got a Goodwill, I got some scrap fabric, I got a suit in my closet. Yeah, so these are all last minute, well, mine, I actually took in the seams on mine. Sewing. But these are all thrift store and garage and closet costumes right now. So, the other part of that is if you don't have a sewing machine or you don't know how to use a sewing machine, it's a great way to do really awesome cosplays without a lot of construction sewing. I'm wearing a suit right now. It took me years to be able to make a suit coat, and I'm still not good at it. I can under duress, and I have for costumes. But it's way easier to just go to Goodwill and pay $2 for one. Seriously. You can also make a lot of realistic clothing that's based on real-life clothing. If I'm cosplaying a character who wears something that looks like real clothing, it's a lot more realistic and accurate to go get a pair of jeans than it is to try to sew a pair of jeans from scratch that look like the character's jeans that he's wearing. So your costumes can actually be more accurate that way. And my favorite part of it, it's also environmentally responsible. Wasn't recycle, don't waste things. But it's also a fun challenge. I love it. I'm a very busy person. I work multiple jobs. I do a lot of costumes. And a lot of times I don't have time to make something from scratch, but I say, I really want to do this cosplay group. What if we just all run to Goodwill, see how many costumes we can put together at Goodwill? And it's a fun thing to do. It's great to do with a group, and you see who finds the most accurate pieces and how you can clutch them together into costumes.
But did you talk about distressed costumes?
Oh, I didn't talk about distressed costumes. If you're playing, one of the characters I cosplay is Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series. He's like a modern Indiana Jones. He runs, gets shot by Nazis and crawls through tunnels and has rocks fall on him.
And he steals a lot of really important stuff.
Destroys a lot of
the museum.
artifacts. Yeah, Indiana Jones wanted to put stuff in a museum. Nathan Drake breaks into the museum and smashes stuff. Not the most responsible guy. Anyway, he wears very dirty, torn up clothes for obvious reasons. He's basically a treasure hunter. If I'm going to make a Nathan Drake costume, which I have done, I don't want to start with pristine, perfect twill fabric from the fabric store, try to sew myself a pair of khaki pants. No, I want stuff that looks beat up. I'm going to run over it with my car a couple times. I'm going to run it up with sandpaper, So I'm going to go to Goodwill and find the worst, most beat up, torn up pair of pants I can find to save myself the effort of doing it myself. And it looks a lot more accurate than if I come out with a very pristine, perfect costume.
So we're driving to the convention, we pull off and go through Dairy Queen, because, Dairy Queen, no explanation
Wait,
needed.
you have to back up with the story. Okay, so we do a lot of, oh my gosh, it's the morning of the convention and I forgot to pack a Sunday costume. Anybody done that? Any of you? No? They're way better than us. Okay. Pretty much. So it is literally the morning we are leaving for the convention. I have 10 minutes before we're supposed to leave and I say, I really want to do a costume. I know, I'll do Nathan Drake. So I make the fastest run to Goodwill up the street, find a long sleeve t-shirt, more or less in my size, come back and pour tea and coffee and chocolate syrup all over it, rinse it out in the sink, drape it over a suitcase to the back of the car, and we go out the door, and we're on the way to the con. The rest of the pieces I just threw together out of my closet that I already had. And we drive through Dairy Queen. And Mark is sitting next to me, and he's got like a chocolate sundae or something that's really drippy, and it's got a lot of syrup on it. And he says, oh no, my chocolate syrup is dripping, it's gonna get all over my pants. And I say, don't drip on yourself, drip on my shirt. And we got chocolate syrup stains and rubbed them in, and the shirt looked great. It was really distressed, and it looked like I'd been crawling through the mud in the temple. It was wonderful. Found object costuming, including the Dairy Queen syrup, and the pants were saved, yes. So the first thing to do if you're looking at found object costuming is choosing your costume. What are you going to make? Do you want to make an authentic Gundam? No, I know people who've done that.
Not the night before.
You probably don't want to start with that. I actually know a guy who made an entire Heavy Arms Gundam out of Lean Cuisine boxes. It was awesome. But that took months. Fortunately, he worked in a distributor. So first, look at your resources. What do you have available? Do you have a certain amount of money you're willing to spend? This is important to decide before you start buying materials. If you buy half your materials and run out of money, you're kind of out of luck. How much time do you have to put in? Is it the morning of the convention? Or do you have a month or two to put it together? What materials do you already have available? Do you have a closet full of old clothes you don't need anymore? Do you have a garage sale going on next door? Is there a Goodwill or a thrift store up the street? What workspace do you have? Do you have a sewing machine? Do you have a power drill? Do you have a hot glue gun? Do you have a roll of duct tape? These are your friends. Do you have safety pins? We like safety pins. What do you have available? What is convenient for you? And once you figure out what you're working with, then you can start narrowing down what you're going to use. This is your law of resources. You can pick two out of this list for found object costuming. This is actually true of all costuming, but it's particularly with found object costuming. You can have fast and cheap, or fast and good, or cheap and good, but it's very rare that you'll get all three. So fast and cheap includes things like Mark's costume, which he pulled out of his closet, and we literally safety pinned a zipper into the front of it to make it a Turk suit.
Don't tell.
Don't tell. Well, you now all know. You're sworn to secrecy. So this was fast. We did it in like 5 minutes. It was cheap. It cost us the price of a zipper, which is about $2.39. It's not good. It's not good. It's not going to hold up to repeated wearings and washings. It's safety pins. You can have cheap and good. I have a thrift store. Well, I'm going to call this good for purposes of example. It's not the best I've ever done, but I have a thrift store suit. It cost me about $6. I did a lot of tailoring on it. I changed the front. I put in an actual zipper and sewed it in. Wow. But it took a little more time than Mark's safety pin version. So still cheap, took more time, not as fast. Fast, cheap, and good is really only going to happen if you go to our Goodwill store where we donate our old costumes and you can buy one and think it's decent enough to wear. So most of the time you're not going to find all three of these with found object costuming. But you can pick whichever two are the most important to you. Your remote. Poke the mark and pushes the buttons. So this is my other rule of cosplay. Given the proper treatment, anything, and I mean anything, can be incorporated or turned into a costume. The chair you're sitting in, parts of it can be turned into a costume. The trash you threw away this morning in your hotel room, turned into a costume. The bottle you find alongside the road, turned into a costume. I can give you examples of some pretty bizarre things we've turned into costumes. When I moved into my house, I live in a 70-year-old house, it had a basement full of junk that hadn't been cleaned out in the last 3 owners. I get a lot of cosplay stuff out of the dark recesses of my knees. Like, I don't know what this old rubber belt with bolts in it was supposed to be, but it's going to be a chainsaw blade now. So that also means use what you have. So what are your skills? What do you have available when you're choosing your costume? Do you know how to sew? Perfect. You can start modifying clothes from the thrift store. If you don't know how to sew, what else can you do? Do you have any artistic ability? Do you know how to paint? Maybe you can't embroider or applique, but you can paint a design on or change the color of something. Or do you have friends or relatives who owe you favors or who like you enough to help? Barter. A friend of mine was having a baby and she wanted her nursery painted, and I'm an artist. What do you have available? And also, how much sewing is involved in the costume? If you really want to do a particular character, is this a costume you're going to have to construct, or can you just modify the outward appearance by painting or dyeing or changing something? Does your costume need props to be recognizable? If you're cosplaying a character like Gara, you need a sand container of some kind. I don't care if it's plushy, I don't care if it's a big, tube made out of construction paper, whatever it is, you have to have something on your back. If you're cosplaying a character who carries a sword, always, it's a good idea to have a sword. How much is your character recognizable versus how much work has to go into the costume to make it recognizable? And also, this is something a lot of times it's overlooked because we tend to be more inclined to cosplay characters we're attracted to for character reasons. Like if I really associate with a character or I really identify with a character, I want to cosplay that character. But if you look like a discussion to have for me at the moment. Like a maniac what? If you look like a character or you have attributes similar to a character, it can be really easy to cosplay that character. For example, if you look like a character, I am positive the only reason Christina Ricci got cast to play Trixie in the live-action Speed Racer movie is because you could not imagine a person looking more like the character than she is. Trixie's not exactly a realistic person, but she manages to pull it off. So, if you are very tall or very short, if you're only 4'6", you're going to have a much easier time playing Edward Elric than if you're 6'6". You can still do it if you're 6 feet tall, but it's going to be more work to make it look good. If you have a certain type of hair, your hair happens to be naturally pink, you have short, naturally my hair, for example, is 3 feet long and brown. Duo Maxwell, I can walk out of my house looking like that every day if I want to, because I have his hair already. It's not, I don't need a wig for that costume, I just pull my motorcycle jacket out of the closet and I'm done. Yeah, Mark is playing Sun today. He has Sun's hair right now. Laura's playing Rufus today with her own hair. Because you're lazy. Because I didn't already have a blonde wig that style. Do you have personality traits that make it easy to convey that character? If you're a really chipper, happy, upbeat person who's always very social and outgoing and greets everybody, playing a character like Sailor Moon will come more naturally to you than playing a character like Snake from Metal Gear Solid. If you're more of a skulking, dark, sullen character, Laura's 5'7" in real life, fair feet, 5'7". She's taller than average. So playing tall characters comes very easily for her. So for example, when we did a Gankutsuo group, she was the Count, because you put her in 3-inch heels and she's suddenly like 6 inches taller than I am, and I played Heyday, she played the Count, and that worked really well. She also has more square shoulders. Women tend to have more sloping shoulders and men tend to have more square shoulders. That's just traditionally how they are. And my shoulders slope and hers are more square. So when we do male costumes that have sleeveless designs, she pulls off a better guy than I do. Beep. So for example, the Sanzos from Sayuki have square sleeveless costumes. That makes it really easy for her to pull that off. Beep. She's also got a really stinking good hourglass figure. The rest of us can be jealous of. So when she's playing a female character, beep, she can pull off female characters pretty well too without a lot of building in special lines or corsetry or anything else because she's just built like that. Hate you. She's my sister, I can pick on. She's also, as you notice, she's got an eye patch over her left eye today. She's blind in that eye. So she plays really good characters with eye patches because she doesn't walk into walls because she doesn't use that eye anyway. So well, she does a lot of eye patch characters. Now, if you look at CL on the right, you'll notice that CL's got the eye patch on the wrong eye. She wore the eye patch over her left eye all day.
Also notice the incredible vapid expression in that photo.
And then for the photos, she would slide the eye patch over her right eye and be like, what? The entire time, which was awesome when she had it over her right eye once for a photo and somebody came up and handed her a camera and said, can you take my picture? And she's like, oh, are you there?
This is not a good idea, guys.
But anyway, since she has that physical situation, she takes advantage of it for cosplay. Now, she's also very blonde, and I mean that only in the nicest sense, that she has tons and tons of blonde hair. So these are all her hair that she just like gets out of the shower and it looks like that all the time.
Just say wow about my hair?
It's because you're blonde. Get out. It's because you're shiny. So, yeah. So, but anyway, so if she's going to play Maria or Edward Elric or something, we don't have to get a wig for that. She just like straightens her hair or fluffs her hair up or whatever, and she just looks like that. Now, you're not limited to this. You can absolutely change your character up and make yourself look very different. I play male and female characters, Laura plays male and female characters, Mark plays male characters because he's not interested in playing female characters for some reason. Why? And you can change your
He once played a girl playing a guy.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So.
He was
like a technicality.
Not cross-dressing, yeah.
Right.
And you know, like my height, I'm actually pretty short. I'm wearing 5-inch heels today.
Whoa.
You know, you can get away with a lot. Yeah, the rest of it's all tailored. But that's not required. And for found object costuming, you can do a lot with the body type you already have and make it easier on yourself. So, making your character recognizable. What is the most salient detail about a costume? If you're looking especially with anime and video game characters, which can be very saturated with certain color schemes, color is the single most important thing to get right. For example, who's on screen? Yeah, Batman and Superman. How do you know that? It's just some rectangles and an oval. They're the exact same pattern. Your brain instantly fills in who they are just from the color scheme. If you saw a giant orange block with a blue stripe across it, Naruto, yeah. If you saw a red thing over a black thing, Ed. Yeah, so there are a few options. You could also be like Dante, you could also be Alucard, you could also, yeah, anyway, there's a whole string of them. But lots and lots of options, but color is really important, which, Carmen's handing you yeah. Most of you probably aren't old enough to remember this, but back in my day, years ago, when I first went there were... About a decade ago, the government was really, really good. And it came out, the series came out in the mid-90s, got really good in the U.S. around the year 2000 or so. And everybody, and I mean everybody, closet cosplayed the Gundam pilots, because they all wear regular clothes for the most part, except Dua wears joggers. And you can find those, you're going to see a lot of them in this panel. So it got so ubiquitous. It was kind of like the Ed Naruto of the day. A couple years ago, everybody was dressed as Naruto, same thing with Gundam Wing. Dua Maxwell wore all black with a black baseball cap and a priest collar. So we had like one little dot of white and everything else was black and he had a baseball cap on. Laura and I would be walking through the mall, not anywhere near a con, just walking through the mall or a store and we're like, look, Dua Maxwell cosplay. Oh no, that's just a guy in a sweatshirt and a hat. Oops. Your brain fills in. So if you see that color scheme, you automatically think it's somebody in that costume. And that means you can take shortcuts if you can't get everything else totally accurate. So getting the colors and shapes right is really important. If your character has a distinctive prop or a single identifying piece, for Edward Elric that would be the red coat. If you have a big prop that your character carries and you can get that right, it doesn't matter if your costume's perfect if you have the prop right. Who's on screen? When I started this panel, Slenderman didn't exist. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so this could be, aside from Slenderman, this could be just about anybody. Who is it now? Yeah, it's the same suit. It's just a guy in a suit. I actually pulled it off a clothing website, you know, but it's a guy with a cross-punisher. He's obviously.
And now it's awesome.
Who is it now? Yeah. So props make a big difference.
How are you gonna make a TARDIS?
If your character has an identifying hat, or an identifying gun, or an identifying sword, and you get that right, everything else will fall in place really quickly. Scarf. Yeah. If you're cosplaying the Sixth Doctor and you have a 12 or 14-foot scarf, great.
That was actually 4.
Sorry, Quit, bad person. I'm a bad person.
my costumes today, I'm missing like 4 layers of this costume.
Rufus Shinra actually wears 6 layers of clothing in his costume. Laura's wearing 2.
2. And so it's like the jacket and a shirt. So there should be 4 more layers and a bunch of other stuff, and my pants are too short and they're the wrong style and blah, blah, blah,
Wait
blah,
a
blah.
moment.
But you put a shroud on and
She
sit in a
can
wheelchair.
walk.
Oh, Rufus Shinra.
Frankly, if I sat in the shroud of a wheelchair, people would probably think I was Rufus Shinra.
Absolutely.
So get the one piece right and we get it right.
The better.
It's amazing. The geostigma's gone, sir.
Thanks, Sarah. Sorry about that.
Another important thing that Laura was just failing at by jumping up in the air and saying she felt better is being in character. If you are cosplaying Snake, we'll go back to Snake from Metal Gear Solid. You're cosplaying Snake, and you have a cardboard box, and you're skulking around looking like you're hiding from somebody. You're going to be way more recognizable than if you're like, yeah, I'm on my cell phone walking through the con. Hi, say hi to everybody at home. That's not a very snaky thing to do. So you're going to be more identifiable as the character by acting like the character, or at least posing like the character in costume, than if you come out and you're playing a, give me a dark emo character. L. Okay, you're cosplaying L.
This is L. Oh, guys, I saw the cutest thing in the dealer. Not L.
Wrong. L on sugar withdrawal. So, portray your characters as much as you can. Okay, so this is Maria Bouquet from Noir. This was Laura's first cosplay ever. She was just a little girl, isn't she cute? Yeah, okay, on the left, that hallway, that's Ohayocon in its original hotel. That was 2 hotels ago. So, yeah. Way back in the dark
Gosh, you
ages.
people are ancient, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. This is the world's deadliest assassin. The picture on the left, you can't even tell if she's at a con or just shopping. Like, seriously. But the one on the right, at least she's acting like the character. She's pointing a gun at somebody. That's not a great photo, and actually we have an entire panel that we did on Friday on how not to pose with a gun like that. But at least she's got a gun. At least she's doing something with it. So, get it as accurate as possible. This is especially important with simple design costumes. Now, if you look at L, L's a really popular character for people to do found object cosplays because basically he wears a t-shirt that's found objects. But there are certain details. His t-shirt's a little short in the sleeves, it's very loose around the neck, his pants are a little baggy, he's got a very distinctive hairstyle, he has bags under his eyes, you know, all of these things. So you want to get it as accurate as you can to convey that you are indeed that character and not just a guy who showed up with a common t-shirt. For example, is that an L cosplayer or is he just having sleep deprivation? I don't know. That's Mark, I can pick on him. Yeah, so this guy could, and this was a deliberate photo, but you know, this guy could have shown up at a con like this and just be like, he didn't actually sleep last night and he's in the dealer room going, oh, where's that figure I'm looking for? Or it could be an L cosplayer who just doesn't have the hair and everything else. So the more accurate you are with your details, the better your costume will be, the more recognizable. Beep. Okay, sure. So, it is very, very embarrassing for both parties if somebody says, oh, I didn't realize you were in costume. That's just not a nice thing. So, yeah, that's happened to us, actually. So, Laura, at Laura's first con, she was cosplaying Maria, which you just saw, the red and black assassin. And the show was so, that one, yes. The show was so brand new, it had just come out like a month before in Japan, nobody had heard of it, and she went into the dealer room and started scouring the dealer room for something to buy with that character on it, so she could prove to people that there actually was a costume, that she didn't just make it up. So you want to get your character as close as possible so people know you're in costume and somebody doesn't go, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were a cosplayer. That's just bad. So, keep going. Okay. More. Okay, so we're going to look at some simple costume outlines. Usually these are based, simple found object costumes are things that you don't do a lot of construction work on. They're usually based on street clothes. If you want to cosplay Mario, you can find overalls and a red t-shirt. That's not hard. You may have to look a little bit, but you can find those. A lot of TV show characters, they're using real clothes. If you want to cosplay Supernatural or Doctor Who or Sherlock, those are real clothes. You could go out and find them. Anime characters who are school characters, you can buy a pleated skirt, you can buy a pair of slacks. Those things really exist. They don't usually have crazy elaborate props. If you're cosplaying Harry Potter, even if you don't have the actual licensed Nimbus 2000, you can find a broom somewhere. It's not hard. The dollar store has brooms. If you're cosplaying Winry, find a wrench, find a fake wrench, find a rubber wrench at a gag shop, anything like that. Those are things you can find. Beep. And hairstyles. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not something you're going to wake up in the morning with that hair, I hope, at least.
If you do, seek help.
If you do, yell at your friends a lot.
You might have fallen asleep for that,
You might have. You just wake up and it's doing that. That or you stick your finger in a light socket. So choosing a character who has realistic hair or hair that you can get a pre-styled wig or an easily styled wig. You know, like Sung from Final Fantasy. Mark is cosplaying Sung with his own hair. All he had to do was straighten his hair because it's a little curly, and boom, insta-Sung hair. It's not that hard. If you were doing Reno, who is another Turk from Final Fantasy VII, whoo, hair everywhere. Needs a little more work, a little more color, a little more styling. Bright red, spiky hair all over the place. So choosing your character wisely. And characters who are recognizable. We went to, I'm going to spare you the entire rundown, but there's a theater near us that we sponsor a lot of films at.